Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. After one of my recent videos, I had a request to do a soft pastel look perfect for Easter. So I put on my thinking cap, pulled out some of my palettes, and created a look a couple days ago that I'm going to share with you today. Now, this look would not only be great for Easter, but for spring and going all through summer. I'm going to be using two very widely popular palettes. These two from Anastasia. The Norvina is going to be the primary one, but also a few shades from the Sultry palette. If you don't have these, just look through your collection and look for similar colors. So to start off, I've already primed my lids with the Smashbox 24-hour eyeshadow primer. And now on my favorite brush for the brow bone highlight, this is the Morphe M208. I'm going to go in with this creamy shade called Base in the Norvina palette and place this along the brow bone. And this shade does have a slight little sheen to it, but it's not so much so that I don't think it will cause problems on those of us with mature skin. Next, taking a Morphe M504, I'm going to first go in with this shade right here. And this is kind of the cooler of the two lighter browns. It's called Incense. And I'm just very lightly going to tap my brush in there and put this through the crease. And I mean, just a smidge of this color. You don't need much. And I'm just doing this because the pink in this palette that I'm going to use does have quite a lot of pigment. So I don't want it to be too vibrant. We're sticking with the pastel theme. So now taking that same brush, I'm going to go in the shade next to it called Love. And this is one of my favorite shades in the palette for sure. But I'm just very lightly putting this through the crease. And you just want to build that until you have a nice light wash of pink through the crease. And then I'm going to switch brushes to the Sigma E25, go back in with that same shade, and I'm just going to place this in the outer corner and a little bit into the crease. And then I'm going to also bring this kind of as a halo here around, wrapping around the corner of the eye. Now, before you think this is just like any other pink eye look that I've done before, we are going in with this shade right here. Now, to be honest, this shade has been so intimidating in this palette because there's so much blue in this shade. I've just been very hesitant to use it, but I loved how it paired with this pink. So it's called Soul, and it is a matte shade, and I'm gonna go in on this Morphe M506, and I am just going to lightly and slowly build this into the outer corner, the outer part of the lid. And I'm just kind of creating almost just a triangle shape right here. I'm not really taking this into the crease. I'm keeping this low on the lid. And then just tapping it right here in the corner. And what you'll notice is where that blue, the blue tones of it mix with the pink, it creates a really nice, beautiful lavender shade. So we have kind of pink, lavender, and then periwinkle blue here in the corner. Then you're going to go back to the Morphe M433 or the Sigma E25, and no extra product first, just lightly blend this right on the top of that to blend it into the pink. And then if you feel like you need to, you can add a little extra pink. I'm going to add just a touch right here in the outer corner. And then I'm going to blend the edge of that blue just very lightly with my brush. And if you feel you need to, you can add just a little more, and you can tell I'm going back into the palette several times, but I'm tapping off and just slowly building. This is a very pigmented color, but I don't want it to overtake the look, so that's why I'm just going with very light layers. All right, now on the lid, I'm gonna go into the Sultry palette. There's a couple of shades in the Norvina palette that would also work for the lid, but I kind of wanted a little lighter, kind of just a hint of pink. So we're gonna go in first with this shade right here, one of my favorite shades in this palette called Rose Quartz. I'm just gonna use my finger. If you want this to be really intense, you can wet a brush and dip it in here. But on my more mature skin, I'm finding that sometimes that thick metallic look on the lid can accentuate your lines. So today I don't want to do that. I'm keeping everything really soft. So I am going to use my finger, which does give you a little more pigment, but I'm just going to lightly tap this on all over the lid. And I'm stopping right where that blue shade starts. And then on the inner corner and kind of brushed into part of that pink shade, we're going to go in with this silver shade called Cyborg. And this is an intense shade. So I'm just going to lightly flick this with my pinky here. And then I will take a brush to just kind of help diffuse it. But just going to overlap that pink shade. And then I'm going to, what I did on this eye is I'm just gonna layer a couple of the shades. I'm gonna go in with the shade right here, which is Pearl. So first going to then tap this right here on the center part and then go over the top of it. These are just light layers with Rose Quartz. So going back to that pinky shade. And Rose Quartz is a little bit of a warmer pink, and I don't want this to be like super pink here. Just want it to be kind of nice and brightening with just a subtle hint of pink. And then take the Sigma E30 or your pencil brush and just kind of blend that inner corner silvery shade over the top of that. And then one more time with your little M506 or whatever you used with that Periwinkle color, just dust over the edge of that shade. And then you can stay with that same brush and go into the pink shade Love, and just where that shimmery shade meets the Periwinkle blue, just lightly dust, and it just makes a nice transition into the metallic shade on the lid and then that blue in the outer corner. So it's just a hint of blue, and I think that's why I liked how this turned out. For liner, I didn't want to cover up too much of this beautiful color we have out here. So I'm going to line the upper rim first. And then I'm going to take a little bit of that, you can see I did it here, about halfway across, and just going to create a tiny little flick. So I'm starting about at the halfway point, and really I'm actually pressing that pencil into my lash line because I don't want this line to take over our look. So just doing this to make our lashes look a little darker and give a little lift to the outer corner of the eye. And then taking a soft angled brush, this is the Sedona Lace EB23, and I'm just going to work that pencil down further into the lashes and then pull out this edge just a little bit. And I'm going to top this with shadow so it doesn't have to be perfect. Now going back to the Sultry palette, this wonderful dark, deep black here, we're gonna use that. It's called Noir, and I'm just using that same brush, tap off really well, and start first right at the edge of the lashes, and then work it just right over the top of that liner. And then as I get in, I am going to keep a little bit of this right into the roots of the lashes, but being very careful not to bring it up or smudge it up. Now it's time to address the lower lash line. I am using a kind of more blue toned purple. This is the NYX Faux Blacks in Black Hole. And I'm going to just put this right here on the outer edge. I am not going to take this in very far, maybe about a third of the way across down here. And I'm going to connect it right there in the corner with that black shadow and liner we have there. Then taking an M432, just a flat definer brush, I'm going to go in with that shade Soul and just go right over the top of that purple liner, close to the lashes. And then I'm going to take that shadow closer towards the center of the eye, so further than I brought that pencil. Clean off that brush really well and then go in with Love. And I'm going to first put this below that shadow, that line we have here on the outer corner, kind of connect it with this halo of pink we have going on here. And then I'll bring that in towards the inner corner. And then if you need to, go back to Soul and just make a nice gradient between the pink and that periwinkle blue. And then one final time, I'm going to go back with that Soul shade on my M506 and just tap right here in the outer corner. And then we'll take our E25 No Extra product and one final blend around the edge. And then once you're done, I just like to look straight ahead in the mirror and then see if I want to bring any more of that crease shade up, and I think I do. So I'm going to go back to the Norvina palette and just do a little bit of this and the pink shade, so a little tiny bit of Incense. And I mean, I am just very, very lightly touching my skin because I don't want a huge block of pink here. I just want to be able to see a little bit more of that. All right, now it's time to clean up, curl the lashes, put on some mascara, and then I'll be right back to do cheeks and lips. So as I was applying mascara, I remembered I wanted to apply a light liner in the inner rim. So I applied a little bit of this. This is the NYX Faux Whites, and this is the shade Linen. It's just a really pale, kind of warm pink color. So I applied that, applied mascara, and contour. I wanted to just show you this because I'm going to use the blush palette that matches it, but this is from Profusion, and I am so impressed. This is just the third time I've used this, but I used the two contour shades in here, and then I am going to use the highlighter in here, but less than $5. Yes, I was in my Target the other day and I just had to pick it up and give it a try. So now for blush, I'm going to go into, this is the Blush 2 palette, that Contour, Highlight, and Contour palette. It just says Highlight and Contour 1. So I'm going to go into this palette. Now these are very pigmented powders and they are a little powdery, so a little goes a long way. I'm going to first start off with a little bit of this bright one. It's called Lovely. And I'm going to use the Morphe E4, and I'm just going to lightly tap in there. And then I am going to start about right here because then it gives me room to blend it in without going all the way to my nose. So just going to very lightly put this on the cheeks and then blend it up towards the temple, and then just lightly dust what remains towards the nose. and the staying power on these blushes was phenomenal. Now, sometimes it can depend on what foundation you have underneath, and I used the Too Faced Peach Perfect foundation today and the previous days that I've used this, but I have had no issues with it fading or anything throughout the day. And then to add just a little extra color, I'm gonna go in with this shade right here called Lovejoy, and again, tiny little tap, and I'm actually gonna tap it off on a tissue first because I am telling you, they're so pigmented. So just gonna start this kind of right here at the top and then brush it down, and then a little bit in the temples. For highlighter, I'm going to go back to this highlight and contour palette, and I'm going to use this shade right here, which is kind of a warm icy pink color. So not too cool toned, but a little more cool toned than the shades on either side of it. So I'm going to use just this MAC fan brush and going to just work this into the top of the cheekbones here. And then on the inner corner, I'm just adding a little bit of, this is from the Norvina palette, this shade Base that we used along our brow bone highlight. Just using a little bit of that on my pinky here. And this is brightening, but it's not going to be super glittery because I don't want it to be the focus of the eye look. I don't want it to take away from that beautiful Periwinkle shade we have there. For lips, I'm going to keep it super simple today. You're going to be shocked. First, I did go around the edge with my MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot. And now I'm skipping liner, I'm skipping gloss, and just doing this one lip product. This was in my BoxyCharm this month, and I love this. This is by Christopher Buckle, and I think his stuff is sold on QVC. And this is his long-wear lipstick, and I think the shade is Bordeaux. I'll list it down in the description box below, but these have a wonderful, just gently sweet smell. These are a matte formula and they last a really long time on the lips, but they're not overly drying. They are not transfer proof, so if you drink out of your coffee cup or kiss somebody, it is gonna come off, but it still leaves a lot of the color behind. And I just have found it to be a very comfortable lipstick. So I'm gonna apply this. And I've worn this several days in a row with no lip liner. It doesn't bleed or anything, so it's great. And here's our finished look. So I hope that you guys really enjoyed that, and if you were like me and were very intimidated by this shadow, hopefully this gave you some inspiration and courage to give that eyeshadow a try. Thank you as always so much for watching. I hope that you have a wonderful, blessed Easter weekend, and I'll see you next time. Bye.